Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back, or welcome to another Bangs Audio review. Today, we have the Tangzu Fudu Verse 2. That's a lot of rhyming. Sorry, guys. The Fudu Verse 2 is out, and I'm like, the Verse 1 was like one of my favorite sort of chill sets, sort of all-arounder, like real mellow. Nothing too, honestly, nothing too exciting about it, although it was really good, but to the point where I think it's in Argentina, my set. Went to Argentina? Yeah, I think somebody in Argentina. Hi, if you're out there. Hope you're enjoying them. But yeah, so not really exciting enough for me to hang on to in the collection, and hopefully the person that got them is now enjoying them. That was quite a while ago. It was like almost a year ago now. I think I gave them away. Anyway, I was really excited to see the second edition, the second verse of the Fudu come out. And first, I want to clear up a little bit of the name. It does say Dufu on the package. It says Fudu in a lot of the marketing. I'm going to refer to it as Fudu because that's sort of, I think, the generally accepted name. But it is named after a Chinese poet from the 8th century AD named Du Fu. So that's, and it says right on the box, Du Fu verse 2. So I don't know where Fudu came from, but it's out there. Anyway, just to confuse things a little bit. The poet was, he was a, starving artist literally at times, was part of the, resistance, the Qing dynasty, that's Qing, and then sort of got exiled, and he spent a lot of time kind of suffering, but his poetry, his writing, really it sort of coalesced around humanity and the unnecessary suffering of humanity during the war, and it was also very much around the natural world. And I think, he honed it to a point. What do you say? Let's see. But his mastery was, at its height was in the Lu Shi, or regulated verse, which he refined to a point of glowing intensity. That is prescient to this set, which is very much in the vein of having glowing intensity, which we'll get into when we talk about sonic impressions. But anyway, Du Fu, really cool dude. Really talented writer, and kind of the definition of the starving artist, because a couple of times during his lifetime he was literally destitute and just wandering, which I'm sure elicited a lot of great writing. If you have that gene in you, if you have that talent, then usually adversity brings out the best in it. And whether that's right or not, that's kind of the way it works. A lot of the reason we have such great music in this world too is because of adversity and suffering, as we all know. Anyway, so it's a really cool backstory. It makes perfect sense. It really relates very well to the tuning and the sound quality of the set. It's really an experience in of itself, unlike anything I've tried before. I know I say that a lot, but that's why we're in the hobby, right? For new and interesting and different experiences. But that being said, let's get down to the sort of boring stuff, the unbox and the specs. The specs on this guy, well, the unboxing is not boring. I mean, look at the box. The box is, well, totally overpowered, but that's okay. That's all right. On the specs, we've got a resistance of 18 ohms and a sensitivity of 114.5 decibels. And oh wow, is it sensitive. So this works for and against it. For in the sense that you won't need really anything more than an Apple dongle to power it. I still think you're better off with at least a dongle DAC to get the most out of it. But 3.5 single-ended will certainly be enough. And even though I got the 4.4, because that's what I do, thanks to Zeos, it's not necessary with this set at all. Neither are any of these desktop amplifier situations. You'd be fine with just a straight dongle DAC, or budget budget restricting. If you just have the Apple dongle and you get the 3.5, plug it into your phone, I think you're going to be just fine. Anyway, they get loud, and they get loud pretty quickly. So, let's see, what else here? Oh yeah, I wanted to get into some of the features. I don't usually read off info pages, but because it's boring as hell, but I decided to in this one. A titanium dynamic driver. Okay. 2 customized BAs, balanced armatures. They have a Q-IAO light crossover technology, which comes into play in driver coherency. I love that phrase, even though I can't say it. Driver coherency on this set is exceptional. If you didn't know, you would think it's just a single DD. So very, very, very well done on that. And it is made of brass in pocket, baby. Wow, yeah. The build is machined brass with an ebony wood faceplate with some embossing on there. These are exquisite. I mean, they feel way more expensive than the $99 price point on AliExpress. From DD Audio, I bought them from Amazon for $109. They're no longer available on Amazon US. So I'm going to link the DD Audio store in the post description, because DD Audio is one of my trusted and one of my favorite sellers on AliExpress. So they get the nod on this set. It is a pre-order. They're saying it's a September 30th release date. Might happen before then, but $99 depending on where you are. Import charges might be more. Tax is obviously going to be on there, but still, I'm going to call it under $100 because that's under $100. So for that price, this build quality is insane. They're very heavy, and I will say that they're heavier than most. You might be concerned about that, but you shouldn't be, because the ergonomics work so well that when they get in your ears and they're settled, you don't feel them, which is a pretty amazing feat considering the actual weight of these things is substantial. I like things that weigh a lot, like, look at that magnet, nice. I do feel like, sometimes it's an indicator of quality, not always, but it is. With these guys, they just feel premium, and they are. A couple of vents in there for you, and just a really nice shape. There's no contact with my inner outer ear, cavum tragus, antitragus, whatever. There's no contact there. So they literally disappear in your ears once you get them in there. Of course, you're going to feel your ear tips, so use your ear tips of choice on this set. I went from both pen and L tips, the orange obviously and the black. I did the Divinus Velvet normal bore. I did not use the Tang Sanchai ear tips that come with it, which I'll show you right now since we're sort of doing this whole thing at once. Yeah, there's the unbox for you. Magnetic seal on the top. It's like a... Yes, I can do this. Come on. Yeah. Nice. It's a nice unbox, honestly. It really is. So your case, premium leather case. There's your cable. We'll get into that in a sec. Underneath, you've got 3 different sets of the Tang Sanchai. So you've got the wide bore, the normal bore, and the good old double flange narrow bore. I like those. I was going to order some. Glad I didn't, because they came with these. So yeah, you've got your choices, and they'll work just fine. My preferences for ear tips by now, so that's what I used, but you can certainly use the included ear tips. They're of very high quality. Yeah, really nice box. Maybe a little bit overboard for a $99 set, but if you're into the unboxing experience, you will not be disappointed by the Verse 2. It's really quite nice. So yeah, these guys they're something. So back to the specs. We'll wrap this up and get into the graph and the sonics. The 2 BAs are custom BAs. I mentioned the crossover technology is pretty serious. And the cable is really nice, 116 wire. You know, I didn't use it for a lot of the testing, but I used it for enough, and there's no need to cable swap. It's a high quality, good feeling cable with a little bit of memory and a slight chance of tangle, but not really all that bad. So really no need to cable swap. Just order it in the termination you prefer. As I said, 3.5 or 4.4 are available, and you will be good to go. So honestly, you don't really need to go outside the box with this one. You've got the Tangzu ear tips, you've got a nice cable, you got a really nice case. Love that. Case is definitely big enough to throw a dongle DAC into, should you like, and there you go. Solid build quality, everything is in line. Another contender, you know, for that sub 100 sort of IM value of the year, in my opinion. And we'll get into why it is going to be for some of y'all and not for some others. So maybe not in the IM of the year conversation for value, but I kind of feel like it deserves to be, because they really did a great job with this set. All right, let's get into why. Because I know the graph kind of freaked some of y'all out, and I get that. You know, totally. You look at this ear gain here, especially, which is quite steep and quite aggressive, and then you got some peaks and valleys in the treble that you're probably not used to seeing necessarily. Seeing is one thing, hearing is another, as we all know, and you know, not a ton of action up in the very high end, like the air region. My opinion, they don't need it at all, honestly. With the treble extension from the low to the mid treble, there's plenty of energy there that lends itself to, well, a unique and pretty amazing experience. Right out the gate, you got sub bass over mid bass. The mid bass is going to be a bit lacking for some who really like a lot of mid bass. It's not there. When I put these up against the Pula Unicron, there was no comparison in so far as the bass went. The Unicron's got tons more. It's a warmer signature, but the one thing that the Fudu has, verse 2, is it does have the rumble, and it does have low bass impact. So you don't feel like you're the set still feels fairly well balanced overall. I don't want you to expect a lot of mid bass, because there isn't a lot of mid bass there. As far as the mids go, they're a little cooler. They're a little bit they're still musical. Don't get me wrong there, but between the titanium diaphragm on the DD and the BAs, you're not going to get a lot of warmth out of this set, just in the way that it's tuned, and as a function of those drivers. It's a pretty I don't want to call it clinical, clear. I think that's the best way I can put it. Not super musical, but very, very clear. And that is going to be the theme of the rest of the review, is how crystal clear these present music. It's really kind of amazing to me, honestly. And if you look at the treble, you look at the ear gain, and you go, that looks like murder. Well, you know, I'm not going to tell you that it's not, because if you're sensitive to this area, I don't know how they did it outside of the fact that this must be a huge driver upgrade for the custom BAs, because it does not murder you. Like, it's not murder. It's not pin a gain or ear gain murder like it looks like it could be. I go back to my Tangent Origin review. If you're gonna tune like this, you better have the fucking drivers to back it up. And the Fudu verse 2 does. So what are you going to do with this, right? Well, you know me, I'm going to listen to metal and see how it does with metal. And it did fine with certain bands, you know, with even with my buddies Hypermass, like even with their music, like it did fine. But for some reason, and I think it's just a matter of where the guitars are playing, in the scale, and how much, where the drums are tuned and stuff like that, and the cymbal use. Like, Mastodon was a no-go. And a lot of other metal was a no-go. Like, I couldn't listen to Bleed From Within, I couldn't listen to Archspire, I couldn't listen to a number of other bands. The new one that I was like, the Villains, what's his name? It's like Raxi and the Villains. I'll have to look that up. Yeah. Anyway, they were good, but they're not really heavy metal. They're just kind of like melodic metal. So really, any melodic sort of style metal, anything like going back to like rock, alt rock, or new rock or hard rock, you're gonna be okay. Just you gotta watch, because if there's a lot of action in here, it can get fatiguing, in your music. But things like Billie Eilish and the Fat Rat, and you've got like a little bit more electronic stuff going on, and those types of sonics, oh, so good. K-pop, like New Jeans, I guess that's NJZ now, because they got sued by their label, of course. Like that's like the dumbest thing. Anyway, and Dreamcatcher came through with flying colors. There were just a lot of things they did well. John Coltrane was great. Jimi Hendrix was great. Grateful Dead, great. Like, there's just so much clarity and so much space. Now, we talked about, let's talk about stage and talk about imaging, positioning, separation, stuff like that, because I was really impressed with how well the Unicron did, because it's pretty bass heavy, warm, and pretty lush, and to have that much like separation ability and sense of space was impressive to me with that set. The sense of space and stage you get from this is mind-blowing, and thus the title of the video, Prying Open My Third Eye, because it takes you a minute to get there. It takes you a minute to adjust to the sound signature, and part of you is like trying to resist it. You're like, no, too bright, no, too much, but once you just let it open up, let your mind open up, pry open your third eye, and understand, now we are immersed. Now we are inside the music. Now it is three-dimensional. Now I have escaped from everything in life that's driving me nuts. I've got another surgery coming up, end of October, sort of mid to end of October, because they got to fix my fucking fusion. They got to extend it. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not. It sucks. I'm going to be in pain for months. I'm going to be out of work for months again after just getting back. I need to escape from some shit sometimes, and this set allows me to do that. And that's what we're all looking for anyway, right? Like, we want to be able to just tune everything else out, listen to our music, and just be in there, in that moment, present, fully, just experiencing it. And that's what I love about this set. It's very heady, it's very immersive, it's very, very good at imaging, it's very, very good at separation, and that soundstage, like I said, is immersive. It's very wide, it's very high, doesn't hit super deep, it's not going to hit you in the chest with mid bass. That's not what it's doing, but it does have the foundation of the sub bass to keep it somewhat balanced. I think it's brilliant. I think it's beautiful. I think it's unique, and I think the driver quality is really what makes it possible, because if it didn't have good drivers and it didn't have that good crossover technology and the cohesion and the coherence, it could be a mess. It could be terrible. I'm not going to say it does everything perfectly well, because it doesn't, as I mentioned, but it does most things really well, and you are going to be immersed in this thing. So I get the whole thing with Fudu, Du Fu now, the poet, like the nature, like the struggle and the humanity, and like just sort of everything, just sort of focused, and then poof, you're gone. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know about you all, but that's what I'm looking for. Um, I did about as much comping as I'm going to do. I mean, the Unicron was right before it. Unicron blew me away. This blows me away in a different way. Unicron, I think, is going to be a lot more universally liked. The Fudu verse 2, I think, is a little bit more niche. Or niche, sorry. Um, if you're one of those people that's willing to take a shot, go on an adventure, be open minded about it, you'll be rewarded. If you look at this graph and that's like, this is not for me, or you listen to my description of how it sounds and you're like, that's not for me, skip. Move forward. I think you're going to be missing out, but it ain't going to work for everybody. So, anyway. I'm going to crank it back up, guys. It's not going to be one a week. It's going to be two, because I got to pack in some really good sets, some really good content, hopefully, for you guys between now and the time I go back under the knife. We got about 5.5 weeks before that happens, or 5 or 6. I want it to be 6. Maybe it's 6. 6 weeks. Probably 6 weeks, 12 sets, or at least 8 or 10. And then I'll be off again for a while, but hopefully not for too long. All right, that's it for today. Be careful, be safe, be nice. Love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. See you Thursday or Friday for the Docinco. Peace.